the Blindish Latina YouTube channel. Where are we? In Switzerland. This is our third and final video about Switzerland. Thank you again to Accessible Switzerland and Claire and George for sponsoring this video, for hosting the trip to Switzerland and inviting me to join. Let's talk now about our third part. Last time we're in Basel, and now this video is going to be all about Basel. We took a train to Basel, as we've been doing. Train travel was so easy all around Switzerland. Also, we had a pass, which was incredible. They scan the QR code and you can ride trains, boats, whatever you want, all around Switzerland. Made it so easy. So when we got to Basel, we were in a hotel that was right by the train station. There's also a big tram station right in front, where all the trams are lined up on different platforms. So the hotel was a historic hotel, so beautiful, but also they've redone it, they've maintained it. The Schweizerhof Hotel. The room is really comfortable and big. We had multiple chairs, which I'm always looking for, because if a hotel room just has a bed and one chair, but it's supposed to be for at least two people, then where's the other person sitting? We want to relax in the room. But this hotel had a space for that. The breakfast was incredible, probably the best breakfast that we had on the whole trip. Definitely recommend this hotel if you're in Basel. We had a walking tour of Basel where we started to see the historical building, learn about the history, and part of the history of Basel was also just learning about how Switzerland became a neutral country. That was part of the story that we heard from the tour guide. We also started to learn about a famous artist named Tinguely, who we'll talk more about, and we saw a very cool statue, I would say art piece, where there's sculptures that move and they're like shooting water out, and this was in front of a in an arts district. So that was where we started to learn that Basel is really focused on arts and culture, and that's what they're known for. They're also highly international, with lots of people from other countries that are living there and working there, because they have so many international organizations and things going on in Basel. Another thing that, right, in present day Basel is very important is the life sciences industry. They have at least two big companies there that are huge employers in the area, doing life sciences research and all kinds of other stuff. So it was interesting just to learn about what the city is known for and what it's involved in. And as far as the emphasis on arts and culture, we learned that that kind of happened in reaction to a split into what was the boundaries of Basel. When the city boundaries became restricted to just the city itself and didn't include the agricultural areas anymore, then they developed a kind of a plan to focus on, okay, we have to focus on what we can do in our city, and we can be strong in arts and culture. So I thought that was really interesting. And they have a lot of museums for a city of their size. They have, I think, over 40 museums, and the city is like 200,000, kind of in that range. So it's, for the kind of balance, the ratio of museums to people, it's incredible. We enjoyed then walking by the river Rhine and seeing that after we saw like all the history. And we got to take a really cool ferry boat across the river that is not powered by electricity or wind or anything. You get on the boat and it is attached to a point with like a kind of like a bungee stretchy cord, and when you push off, well, we don't do this, the person running the boat pushes off, and then it starts to move all the way across to the other side of the water. I'm not able to explain exactly the mechanics of it, but it doesn't require any power. So I thought it was fascinating, and it was really much faster than I even imagined. Like all of a sudden we were on the other side of the river. Found a tactile map. This is so cute because it's got little trees and things. There's a lot of information. Oh, here's the braille. Here's the braille. More braille. So the current is really moving the boat and helping it get from one side to the other. I still don't understand how the current works in both directions, because it goes across and back the same way, but it works. It's historical, it's very fun. They're decorated with flags, and You have to ride this ferry if you go to Basel. On the other side of the river, when we got there, it's the hot side. We felt the sunshine. We saw so many people walking and recreating, and just like in Bern, if you watched the first video, this river current is perfect for the Swiss people to jump in and get carried away and float in the water. So they have their waterproof packs where they put their stuff in, they get in there, and they float around and have a great time. If I'm ever back in Switzerland, I definitely want to do that. I love seeing that. It looks super fun. We're in Basel right now at Cantina Don Camillo, and they have a multi-course plant-based menu, which I'm about to do, but I also ordered the gazpacho because I just wanted a cold soup. It's very hot today, and it's so pretty and artful. So let's try it. It's really creamy and thick. I'm super excited to eat a nice meal. And look at the scenery. It's so beautiful here. We're eating outside on a covered terrace. The service there was incredible. Everything I tasted was creative and delicious, and I loved it. So we had that outdoor relaxation. We were one of the first ones there, and it was really quiet and relaxing. Another thing that we did that evening, because I can't believe it, we did even more, we went to the Flâneur Festival. And this is a festival that runs really a short period of time. We caught it on the last day, lucky us. Spans multiple streets. There are booths with businesses. There are booths with food. There are stages with music. And I saw a jazz band, and they played a swing song, and people started dancing. We really enjoyed that. We also saw that, for example, there were some museums that had booths and were promoting their museums and had some interactive stations, like a photo area. It was a very fun local experience, and people were having a great time there. Partner saw a blind person and talked to them for me, and then we had a conversation about being blind in Basel. He showed me that there was a box there you could push to get information. It's auditory. So if you see a yellow box on a pole and you push a button, then you get the auditory information in German, I believe. So it wasn't what I needed, but it was good to kind of notice something that I hadn't before. Another really interesting thing about Basel is that it's in the corner of Switzerland. It's super close to Germany and France, and there are points very close to Basel where you can be in 3 countries at once because you're at that meeting point, which is a fun thing to do if you like to kind of have that bragging rights. The airport, the local airport, is administered by all 3 countries, and it's a collaborative effort, which I thought was really cool, and I didn't know about that. The next day, we started with a visit to the Tinguely Museum. If I could do a whole episode about the Tinguely Museum, I probably would, because I fell in love with the museum staff person who guided us around and just the museum itself.
Tinguely Museum is a rather new museum here in Basel. It was founded in 1996 after Niki de Saint-Phal, that was Tinguely's ex-wife. She came here to Basel after Tinguely died with 52 sculptures of Tinguely. And she was looking for a place to make them publicly available, to present them in public.
I think what was really cool about it is because Tinguely did sculptures, and he had some that were so big that they were able to include in their museum. Even one that called Utopia that you could walk on and climb ladders, and you're on the art. This is called the Utopia, and you can actually climb upstairs and go on it. So I'm going to be walking on art right now from Tinguely. When I go in this piece, I just want everyone to know that I've already studied it and prepared. I watched other people go up because there are multiple staircases. So I wanted to know before I even step onto it, where do I go first? Where do I turn? How do I come out? So that is part of accessibility for me, part of how I handle my deafblindness. So just keep that in mind. Yay! Walking on art. I don't know that I've done that before. That's very cool. I don't know how to describe the smell. It's kind of like that smell of old handrails and things. It was really, really cool. And then there are other ones that you push a button and they play sounds or they move, the button animates them. So I've never been in a museum like that. I've never seen artwork like this that is conceptualized this way. Even through his different periods, while the pieces look different, they still have these common elements of play, of fun, and of, you know, that movement. So we even saw some works that were from kind of a darker mood, but they also still like gave that movement and energy. So I just like learning about him, and the person that gave us the tour brought out interactive things and touch things and made it super accessible for me. We also saw a scale model outside. There were elevators in the museum. So it really had a lot to talk about in terms of accessibility. And there was also focus, which I love, doing one experience, one artist, getting that whole story is really enjoyable to me, rather than going to an exhibit that will have pieces from many different artists and then my attention's pulled in different directions and I don't kind of leave with a big learning moment. But I definitely left the big learning moment about Tinguely. Very talented artist who now has a museum dedicated to him in his legacy, because he's no longer with us, but I really enjoyed learning about him. There were also a few pieces in there that I believe he called them like noise machine or sound machine. I'm not quite sure the term, but basically when you activate them, it sets off a chain of events, but some of them just have two elements that then hit together and make a noise. You hear something different, a different composition or a different collection of noises that's completely unique. And the next time you press the button, it won't be that same thing, which I thought was really kind of poetic and just emblematic of the moments that we have in life. Like there's one moment that we have that's right now and it's not going to be replicated. So the art kind of ties into that. I also have to shout out our contact at the museum, Fabian. He was amazing. He was so engaging, and you could tell like the passion was there. He's an expert in Tinguely and just cares so much about me understanding and having the access I needed to experience this museum to the fullest. It's also very close to the Rhine River, so there is a walkway with windows, floor to ceiling, I believe, that you can get a beautiful view of the water. The next thing that we did that day was we went to a boat ride in the Rhine on the Rhystärn boat, and this was really relaxing. It went in two directions. We spent 2 hours on it. We went in one direction for an hour, and then we went in another direction for an hour. So we got different views throughout the experience. We even got to see the Tinguely from the other side, because we heard that there was a beach that they had created there. So then we got to actually see the beach and see how people used it as an access point to hang out or jump in the river. So we stayed on the top of the boat because I wanted to be outside. Even though it was a little bit windy and colder that day, I really liked the fresh air. I was able to get some nice tea and some items for lunch. So the boat ride was a nice way to see the city and mix it up. You know that Switzerland has clean water, and all throughout the country they have these fountains there. You can just get water from the fountains and refill your water bottle. So the city of Basel has about 200 of these fountains, which is amazing. We also saw them in Bern. 80% of the water is from groundwater, and then 20% is from lakes. In this city, in Basel. I don't know about the other cities. Okay, let's refill. Whoa, I can't see it. I can't see it. It's a very strong. Some of the fountains are very simple, but this one is super ornamented and decorated. And there were a lot of those. They have really cool decorations, different like statues. Some have animals, some have people, some have things from mythology. This one we noticed is more like architecture, religious one. Perhaps guy at the bottom is holding the symbol of Basel. It's an icon that's also on a flag, but here it's like a shield, kind of, the symbol of Basel. At the fountain, it began to rain, but thankfully, it only began to rain a little bit. But now I'm wearing my hat, and my outfit is all mixed up because it's also a little chilly. So behind me is the Botanical Garden, which is run by a university. We're gonna go inside. They close at 5, but I hope we'll have the opportunity to see some greenhouses. And the plants inside will also keep us dry from the rain. Let's go. What makes this botanical garden unique is that it's the only one in Europe to have a cloud forest environment represented, which when you go into it, it's a little bit colder. Even though like the other areas are more greenhouse feeling, you would go in them and it would be warmer than the outside. As soon as we enter the cloud forest, it's a little bit cooler. Cloud is represented in there too. It's not just the plants that you would find in that type of environment. So that was really unique and interesting and fun to explore. I love to see flowers, and not just flowers, but also leaves. So I was very entertained. We went into the palm house, or the rainforest environment that we went into as well. So we went inside all the buildings and looked at all the patterns and the different plants. We saw a bunch of succulents as well that were really unique and beautiful. We also saw some plants outside, but it was raining, so we stuck more to the inside parts. The botanical gardens were, as always, restorative, nice to connect with nature. I thought it was worth a visit. So if you're going to Basel, I think that you should enjoy the botanical gardens as well. And it doesn't take too long. It doesn't have to take half a day. The last thing that we did in Basel was go to a restaurant where we sat outside on a nice patio area and we had more fondue. It's our last dinner of our whole trip with Accessible Switzerland, and we're at a traditional restaurant. And we ordered fondue again. I want to show you how I eat fondue as a blind person and what are the challenges that emerge. So I'll give you a very long fork, which is good because then I can grab things further away from me without hopefully knocking things over. So you have to grab the bread, you have to find one and stab it, and you have to go down deep enough so it doesn't fall off. Then when you dip it, you are like turning it. Okay, and then I have to, oh, this one is good. There's no like cheese falling off. And now it's really hot, so I have to blow on it. I think because this bread is already cut up and the cheese is right in front of me, it's not so bad eating fondue as a blind woman. But if you had less vision than I do, I could see that would be challenging because you have to go and get every bite set up and you have to use the fork. A lot of blind people eat with their hands. Enjoying our last dinner. Thanks for watching our whole trip. Overall, Basel was a very interesting city. I really appreciated the public transportation there as well. It was notable to me how well covered it was. The trams, the buses just went everywhere that we needed to go. It was very easy to get around. I also remember that when we needed to take a tram, the maps, the instructions on the app told us which platform to go to. And I hadn't realized until then, they were labeled. Each platform for the tram has a number. So then we went and we knew exactly where to stand and didn't have to walk around looking at all of them. So I was very impressed with how organized it was. We even took a bus to the airport, which was very close to our hotel and right there in front of the train station. Everything was really connected and easy to navigate. Of course, we enjoyed the arts and the culture and the food. I thought the food here was really good and there were a lot of options. Overall, Switzerland was an unforgettable experience. I'm so grateful to Accessible Switzerland, Claire and George, for hosting me there, bringing me and showing me the beauty of the country, how it's possible to have an accessible itinerary, to use the public transit to get around everywhere, just create new memories. Learning about this interesting culture that is, if you're going to Europe, maybe you want to check out Switzerland. Stay tuned for more accessible travel adventures with me, Blindish Latina. if you want to see more videos on inclusive and accessible travel, subscribe to Blindish Latina and let me know all your questions in the comments, and I will see you next time.